boys and girls. I'm glad that you're taking the time to make some art with me today. I thought that we would look at artist Leonardo da Vinci and this face of Mona Lisa and learn from it. So I want to show you just a couple of things before we begin to make something that is three-dimensional. First of all, do you see the highlights on her cheeks and forehead and chin and the nose area? The highlights are the lighter colored areas. And then the shadows, these are those areas that go over here. And the shadows, these darker areas, make it look like it is further away. So if you think about your face, or if you think about a ball or a sphere or some type of shape, it can really be any shape, you want to think about how it curves around and how it goes away. And as an artist, how do we make it look three-dimensional? All right? So what you need for this lesson is just a piece of paper, a pencil, and if you want to, you can use crayons. All right? You don't have to, but I like to use crayons. So I'm going to use crayons for this one. And what you want to do is learn that you're going to practice. You're going to practice on this. And I would love to see you submit your artwork to me. You can email it to me this week. I would love to see what you can draw. So I am just going to draw a sphere. And I can't wait to see what you invent. And remember, I'm just using the side of my pencil. I'm actually turning it, holding it back here like we do when we hold our pencil in a sketch hold. And then I am lightly, you can barely see what I'm doing. Now what that's done is that's given me the perimeter edge, okay? This line is the edge of my shape. And that is going to let me know I want my dark areas here and I want that to curve around. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you one sphere with a pencil and then one with crayon. All right, so if you'll notice, what I'm doing is I'm deciding where my light source is going to be, and as the artist I get to decide that. For this lesson, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the light coming straight down, so that means all the way around this sphere, this circle, that I want to have shadows and I want my highlights to be closer to the center. All right, so you're going to see me start to move my paper around. Miss Clegg is a big advocate of moving the paper. Make it easier on you, don't make it harder, right? So our hands can't bend and our arms can't bend the way sometimes that we need them to. So guess what we do? We just move the paper to make it work for us. So what I'm doing is shading, using still that edge of my pencil to create these dark areas around the perimeter. And if you'll notice, I'm starting to build up darker colors that are closer to the perimeter. And I am creating what would be like a value scale. And we've talked about this a lot in school, but for those of you that maybe need a little reminder, or maybe you weren't there that day, or maybe it just was one of those things that you weren't quite sure what Miss Clegg was talking about. I totally get it. This is a value scale. So let's talk about that. That is something that gets from dark and gets lighter. So this is all about the amount of pressure that you put down. So if I push down really hard, I'm going to get a dark color. If I push down really, 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 really light, I'm going to get a light color. And you have to change the pressure that you're putting down on the pencil and let it get from dark all the way to light. And that's called the value scale. All right, so I'm going to quit talking and I'll just finish my shading. And I might even speed up this part of the video. But I want you to practice and take your time and enjoy. Like I said, this takes practice, and this may be the first shape that you draw of many, many, many more. So enjoy. right, friends. So you can see that my circle, my sphere, is darker around the edges and it gets lighter as it comes around. So I'm not sure this is my favorite one I've ever done, but I certainly think it starts to look three-dimensional as it gets darker around the edges. I can't wait to see what you draw. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create some more, but I'm going to be using crayons. And crayons work the same way, all right? It is all about the amount of pressure. You know I'm going to go for that purple crayon, right? So I like to wear down the edge of the crayon first before I try to make a value scale. So what I recommend is doing that, and that way it gets that nice flat controlled surface that you want. And once you have that, then you can begin to make your value scale. And I recommend practicing making a value scale. Remember, a value scale is going from dark all the way to light. All right, see that value scale? And the same thing applies. You're going to sketch lightly with your crayon, and then you're going to do the same thing that we did with the pencil. And I think, honestly, I think it's sometimes easier to create value forms. I'm sorry, not value forms, but form, which is three-dimensional, by using a crayon. I love the texture that the crayon gives you. It has this bumpy kind of look to it, and that adds texture as well. Anyways, and I think you can go in and do it lightly. It's all about the pressure. Just be careful. If you do get an area that is too dark, you can try to erase it. Did you know that you can erase crayon? Yep, you can. So enjoy, have fun, practice. Send me your drawings. I can't wait. Challenge your parents. See if you can get them to make something that is three-dimensional form. And remember, it's all about the highlights and shadows, just like we learned from Leonardo da Vinci.